Well, the CDC is considering changing vaccine guidance to lengthen the time in between doses of Pfizer and Moderna vaccines because of data showing an increased risk of heart inflammation, increasingly in young men between the ages of 18 and 39. Researchers told the CDC's advisory committee that more time between the first two doses of the mRNA vaccines seems to reduce the risk of myocarditis. The report comes from vaccine researchers at Kaiser Permanente, Northern California. They tested 18 to 39-year-olds to see whether the risk of myocarditis or pericarditis after Moderna differed than the risk level after Pfizer. And they found that among 18 to 39-year-olds, both mRNA vaccines were associated with increased risk of myocarditis and pericarditis in the 0 to 7 days post-vaccination, particularly after the second jab. And this is all on the CDC website, by the way. So they estimated that 22.4 excess cases per million second doses after Pfizer and 31.2 excess cases per million second doses after Moderna. Direct head-to-head comparisons provide the evidence that the risk of myocarditis and pericarditis may be higher after Moderna than after Pfizer. Many of us knew that Moderna is more potent. But comparing Moderna versus Pfizer, they estimated that Moderna was associated with an additional 10.7 cases of myocarditis and pericarditis per million second doses. So increased risk getting Moderna, which is why many countries in Scandinavia and Europe have banned Moderna for people under the age of 30. It kind of varies country to country. Some of the Scandinavian countries say it's banned completely for anyone under the age of 30. I believe in Iceland, they've banned it for everybody unless you've already taken Moderna and you're older, and in which case you can get it as a booster. But I think that's the only instance when they're allowing it. Denmark has banned it for anyone under 18. Sweden has banned it for anyone under 30. I believe that Norway or Finland has also banned it for boys males under 30. So each country over there has taken a different approach to it, but they understand that Moderna has a higher risk. And so they aren't recommending it. Whether it's banned or not, they're not recommending it for younger males. And many of them are saying, well, just for all people who are young, just in case, because you just never know, which might be the smarter approach. But Moderna is more potent. And we've even seen this with the antibodies and how quickly it wears off. Moderna lasts a bit longer. And Moderna does create, it seems from the research, more higher levels of antibodies than Pfizer. But here's Dr. Peter McCullough. He appeared on Fox News. He was asked if he would recommend the vaccines to children in light of the news, because they're talking about this. So it's now we're going to give the jab to kids. And remember, all of this data that has come out from Kaiser Permanente to the CDC, that was data after they gave these vaccines to people. So they were giving the vaccines out, and then they collected the data and said, oops, this causes excessive rates of myocarditis. Now, people say, well, myocarditis could occur naturally. Sure, but they're showing that it's excess cases of myocarditis and pericarditis caused by the vaccines. Now, it'll be interesting to see how many cases of pericarditis and myocarditis are caused by the actual virus. But some reports say, well, it appears differently if they do catch it. Plus, there's not a guarantee they're going to catch COVID. A lot of people still haven't caught COVID, and yet a lot of people are getting the vaccines. That's a guarantee versus catching COVID is not necessarily a guarantee. Some people seem kind of naturally immune. I know many people who their spouse was sick with COVID. They were sleeping in the same bed as their spouse and they never caught it. So some people just seem to naturally resist the virus. So that person, if they're young, getting a vaccine is a guarantee. Getting COVID is not necessarily. But here's Dr. Peter McCullough on Fox being asked about giving kids the vaccine.
Dr. McCullough, would you recommend that any child without a pre-existing condition or just any child of decent health get these vaccines at this point? Yes or no?
No. In the data, there's a paper from MMWR, end of December, from the CDC, the safety data, children ages 5 to 11, Laura. It doesn't look good. It looks like the serious conditions for the first time now, we're seeing heart injury in children before puberty. They should not be given under any circumstances.
Dr. McCullough, you've been courageous, brave, and most always right. So thank you so much.
Wow. Yeah. So if they're already seeing now the rates, again, we didn't know about the myocarditis or the pericarditis in these 18 to 30-year-olds until we started giving them the vaccine. And then we found out. And that's what we're discovering with all kinds of different side effects. Now they're starting to study the menstrual cycle irregularities and what sort of impact that might have on women's fertility or just women's cycles. They don't know. They're now testing it after they gave this vaccine to millions upon millions of people. And now they're wanting to give it out, and they are giving it out to young children. And we're going to find out after they give it out to a bunch of kids what the possible side effects of that have been. This is why there's vaccine hesitancy, and it's legitimate. It seems to be warranted when you look at all of the potential side effects and the various things that have happened and the unknowns to these vaccines. That is the point why so many people have said, I'm not sure I want to take that when I don't feel I'm necessarily high risk for COVID. Could the worst outcome possibly happen with COVID? Could I catch it? And maybe I'll be one of the very rare unlucky ones that doesn't make it through or ends up with long COVID or something like that. Sure, I guess that's a possibility. But many people are weighing their risks and saying, I just don't feel like for me, it's that I should take this medicine. We don't know we're still learning about, we're still collecting data on. I'm not sure if I want to take that when my risk of COVID, of a negative COVID outcome seems relatively low, especially since many of us caught COVID well before vaccines were available. Many people caught COVID last year. If you remember, even around this time, the vaccine still was not being offered to younger people. It was mostly seniors at this time last year. And of course, around Thanksgiving and Christmas of 2020, lots of people got sick with Delta. My whole family got sick with Delta, and that was before the vaccines. So a lot of people got the illness. And they survived it. Some people got the sniffles while other people in their family got really, really sick, and some people felt nothing. That's every family's story. When they say things like, well, but the vaccine gave me really mild symptoms, it's like, you don't really know that, because everybody's story when their whole family caught it, it was so-and-so was really, really sick. So-and-so in the family didn't feel anything and had no idea that they were even sick until they got the antibody test. So-and-so lost their sense of taste and smell for like a day. So-and-so got, like a cold. I mean, that's everybody's story. It wasn't, everybody who got the virus before being vaccinated was super ill. And it's only now that the vaccines have rolled out that people are getting the vaccine and then they're finding that their symptoms are mild. I'm not sure if I'm seeing a whole different rate of reactions. Right now, everybody I know who's gotten COVID that's been fully vaccinated and even boosted, I would say this wave, the Omicron wave, I want to say I only know one person who caught COVID who was vaccinated who had mild symptoms. Everyone else I know personally, now that's just anecdotal, I get it, but still, everything's anecdotal when it comes to this virus and these vaccines, because we're all going based on who we know and what stories we've heard. But everybody I know that's caught the Omicron wave got really, really sick, in bed, like flu in bed, not what they were reporting out of South Africa of just sniffles and a headache, flu in bed for 3, 4, 5 days. And it looked very similar to Delta, actually, when people were getting sick and in bed with the flu, some people, for 3, 4, 5 days. That's what I'm seeing with Omicron, even with fully vaccinated people. So when they say, well, but it's going to reduce your symptoms or something, okay, it might reduce your symptoms to COVID. Maybe that seems to be in dispute. But then it might give you myocarditis or pericarditis if you're in a certain age group. These are the things that people are weighing in their minds when they're making these decisions. So many of you know that, though, but I just wanted to give you more information. The CDC now is starting to say, hey, maybe we should wait and give you 1 dose of the vaccine, and then let's wait 3 months or however long before we give you that second dose of the vaccine if you're in a certain age group. They're now, if they don't even know the dosing, and they don't know the intervals of the dosing, I don't know how this got through as FDA approved, to be quite honest. If they don't have basic information, basic data on intervals and dosages, okay. Well, anyway, thank you guys so much for watching. Thanks for being here. Be sure to sign up for my locals community. If you haven't yet, you could join me there. I did do a live stream last night. And I had some technical difficulties, but I'm trying to figure that out so that I can have give you better experiences with the live stream. But the link's down below, or if you're on Rumble and watching, there is already a button there that you can push and you can get yourself to my locals community. So be sure to check that out. Thank you guys. And oh, here's my Rumble channel. Be sure to join me on Rumble. See there, you can see the little locals logo in the top right corner. You can, I need to refresh this image, don't I? Because right there it says I've got 657 subscribers. I checked this morning, it was 11,000 subscribers. So it's growing. My Rumble community is growing. So be sure to check out my show over there. I do post some content over there that I do not post on YouTube. And so be sure to check that out. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll be back.